high quality stuff. Good, very, very strong gummies. Check it out if you're interested, and remember to take it slow so you don't get too fucked up.
So on this dirt bike trip, I brought Death by Gun.
I seen a rainbow yesterday, but too many stones.
That's like that hat I bought that says "I am a veteran." It's got like a flag on it.
Dude, there should be one that looks just like the Vietnam hats, but it says veterinarian. So you're not doing Valor.
See how many cups of Starbucks you can get discounts off of being a
Nobody
veterinarian.
fucking believes I was in Korea.
You weren't even born.
No,
let alone fighting age.
My
they
parents weren't born.
My father.
They have veterans parking in Lowe's here in like Burbank. So
The secret is it's for anyone who wants it.
Yeah, I parked there. And I was getting a tool cabinet or something. This was like a year or two ago. I parked there and I get out and this guy goes, "Oh, thank you for your service." And I said, "You're welcome."
You didn't give him like a Semper Fi, you know?
No, it actually felt great. Like I was like, "Oh wow, now I get it."
It feels good, right?
Valor now. Yeah.
I was, we were driving.
It's a victimless crime. I've said
we were
that.
driving an armored personnel carrier, and I was standing out the gunner seat, and I was holding on to the gun in like a non-threatening way. It was pointing up in the air, but I had my hand on it, and I was wearing green, like coincidentally for that day.
Yeah.
And a cop like fucking saluted me as I went down. and
Fuck you, asshole!
No, I fucking saluted back because like I didn't want him investigating us. I wanted him thinking, oh, National Guard boys going through town.
Incorrectly.
Yeah, I mean, I did whatever he did. You know,
well, he stuck his hand.
Long and prosper, officer.
You do like the Hitler one where you accept his salute.
We were in Hitler country. Like I probably could have thrown up a fucking Sig Heil.
That was such a cocky thing. That was such a cocky thing Hitler pulled. Everybody else has to do the full salute, and he just accepts it. I accept it.
Yeah, one of those down low, like half salutes.
Like, it's the arrogance, man. That's what really turns me off to that guy.
Hitler.
There's a Key and Peele skit that's like that. He's like, I saw Hitler last week. Yeah, he came in, everyone was blown away. And he gave me one of those little down low hiles, just kind of nonchalant. It's like he's talking about that. And you'd see Hitler do that. Like he wouldn't like go full high up and everything like the military guys would be like this crazy like salute that matched, but he kind of give you a little yes, heil.
Yeah, just an acknowledgement.
Save it for like WrestleMania, you know.
Yeah.
All right, I'm charging up like the Hulkster is going to give you the elbow.
Yeah.
What happened in Argentina with the whole Nazi thing? Like, I don't think Hitler went there, but
a lot of Nazi higher ups, including SS officers, went there. And it's a known fact. There are villages down there that primarily speak German. It's the Mossad, the Israeli Special Forces, several times went there, took them back to Israel, and killed them. Like they would go there, catch a Nazi who was like on a goddamn goat farm. Who like somebody would be like, "Fucking Senor Adolf up there, the goat farmer's got a weird accent. I don't know." And it would get back to the Israelis. A
lot of tall guys named Hans.
And they'd send some people over to beat their ass, throw them in a fucking car, drive that to a port, get them back to Israel, put them on trial, and fucking hang their asses. They did that several times. It was a government that was sympathetic to the Nazis.
But the whole bringing them back, putting them on trial thing seems like sissified. They should have taken care of business right there.
I don't think so. I think it's much scarier to be taken away. If I'm the offender and my option is dying right here in my home, like maybe smoking a cigarette first even, or drag me back to the Jew land. Like I'm
actually you're selling it. I think you're right.
That was the first name for Israel, Jew land.
Jew land, yeah. And Hebrew.
I'm going to veto this one.
Like if you're
said, these Christians have this place where they have to worship it. It's called Israel. Let's use that name.
You're a 60-year-old. You're a 60-year-old Nazi who's been a goat farmer for the last 15, 20 years. You got a bad hip. Do you really want to be
just getting
back,
good at it?
Put on a show trial, and then I don't know how they killed him. Probably maybe hanging or something like that. I don't remember what they did. I don't know what hanging.
Whatever was cheapest.
I'd rather get
Jesus
shot right there. You know, one of the most low-key racist things I've
Just
ever
kidding.
used
They
to
have
do.
infinity money because of us.
Israel is sitting pretty.
We were
In the
in
US,
our $50 Patreon Discord. You can join down below if you want to take part in our hijinks. We've got a couple of black guys in there, and there was like some kind of a friendly argument going on between a couple guys, and one of them like took a picture of his hand like this, right, like flipping the other guy off, and like sent it real quick as a reply, you know, like fuck you kind of thing. But it was a black guy, and the second he sent it, I wrote no gang signs in here. That tickled me. It still does.
I know it
day.
does. You sent me a
All
screenshot
day.
and it made me laugh. I was like,
Oh, that's my favorite. That's the funniest thing that's happened in my life in weeks. It was just so good. I love that. But yeah, if you're out there listening and you are, you know, if you're darker than us, let's just say that we'd love to have you. You know, it's a good look having you around. I like.
We take
our
all
hangouts.
comers. All are welcome. It's an incredibly progressive place.
But
You're
we
gonna
would
love it.
prefer a few more people of color. No, coloreds.
Jesus Christ.
No, it's
Which one is
people of
it
color.
now? Yeah.
It's people of color.
Yeah.
We would like more of you to join our group. You know, we've already got a Chinaman. He wears one of those pointy hats, one of those rice paddy hats.
Mhm.
Isn't he
It's-
Vietnamese?
You know,
Common misconception.
all I know is just remember Pearl Harbor. Never forget that. That I say that dealing with
Never
all
forget.
of them.
I'll
yeah.
forget 9/11 long before I forget Pearl Harbor.
I'm not. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because
not even-
9/11 was just that we got most of those guys. You know that did the 9/11. Like
Yeah.
like
We got all of them. They
I
just
thought you were talking
died
about
right on
Wall
the
Street.
spot.
No,
Like, I don't think we got any of those guys that caused
No.
9/11.
no.
No, they all died in the
we
plane,
found
I'm
the
pretty sure.
true culprits' passports. In the rubble, we got them. Man, sometimes you get lucky.
Depending on what version you believe, we got them all. Whereas, like, it never sat
None of
right
them
with me in
parachuted
history
out.
class when they got to the part about the Japanese emperor just getting away scot-free and getting to remain the emperor. I mean, I guess he lost a lot
He
of his.
wasn't the real emperor. He was just a figurehead.
He got to live in his palace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's
as a
just as
figurehead,
good.
though. He wasn't like.
Oh,
Who else
actually-
was going to live there?
Yeah, Kyle,
They
you
should
don't
have
understand.
drug
his
him out
suffering.
of there and hung him.
He only
That's
got the
not good
money
for
and
keeping the
prestige.
Japanese
He was
happy.
no longer in charge.
We could have done what it was MacArthur, right? That they put in charge of Japan. Like they basically said, "All right, you run Japan," and he was like, "Wait, what?" Well, I was just running the whole Pacific War effort, so okay. So he's in charge of Japan now, and it was literally up to him. Should we drag the emperor out of there? Fucking hang him in the street? Like he could have made that call, but instead they decided to let them keep their figurehead and like let him like live out the rest of his fucking days. I don't think he died until like color TV and shit. Like he got to live to the good
Well,
times.
yeah, he's a Japanese emperor. They live hundreds of years.
Fuck.
Like they're healthy people. And if you're trying
That
to
never
keep the
sat well
Japanese
with me.
happy about it, you got to let them, because they're all about honoru and like all of that shit. And so you have to give them something to be proud of afterward. Like, hey, you still have.
Did you hear
You
about
lost,
all
but-
the Japanese women that the Japanese willingly enslaved to allow our sailors to fuck? Because they just thought that was what they needed to do. Because when they went somewhere, like when they were in China and Indonesian places, and they take over and occupy, they would like just make all the women their concubines and sort of like make a pleasure squad to rape. So like when we took over, they were like, "Oh, quick, let's line up their pleasure squad. Either we make a pleasure squad or they'll make one for us. You know how war is." So they just like organized a huge amount of women. They were like 15 to like 20 to be in pleasure houses to like support the war. Do your duty. Be a whore for Japan. The Americans are here. Otherwise, you know what they'll do. They'll just start raping everybody because that's how war is.
That's
It was just
depressing.
another one of those times where they thought we were as awful as they were. It's the Japanese were so evil that they're like something out of a storybook. They're like orcs, the World War II Japanese, because they couldn't comprehend human decency. They killed themselves and fought to the last man because they thought that Marines were recruited from mental hospitals, that they were literally bloodthirsty men with sharpened teeth. They thought U.S. Marines were monster men who would torture them. So they're jumping off cliffs and drowning themselves rather than just giving up and taking the hot meal they would have gotten. Just
Yeah.
because that's what they did as well. You know, they would torture us to death. They didn't take fucking prisoners. Did you see their prison camps where they would be lopping people's heads off with katanas and starving those guys to death? Not to mention all those experiments where they would vivisect people and expose people to botulism, smallpox, any number of like gas experiments, boiling people, and just exposing them to anything you can imagine that's awful to be exposed to.
For research.
Like Lizzo?
Exactly.
Expose them to Lizzo.
Yeah, but now Japan is like the last bastion of like awesome against.
They're our missile island now. We need them.
The woke censors, right? Like they put tits in their video games and they don't care about.
They censor their porn, Dick.
I don't like that, Woody. But they do have whores in
Ooh,
Japan.
do they? That's
balance it
progressive.
out.
Wait,
Yeah, dude,
is
they
it
have like a
legal? There's-
6-block area. It's not legal, but they have like a 6-block area in Osaka where they have like these whores stood up on. I mean,
Shit, we have illegal whores. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Whores are legal in Australia. Prostitution's legal in Australia. Do you know that?
Yeah, but you have to fuck an
Yeah.
Australian.
Australians are like fucking Floridians.
No.
with their own
They come
island.
from criminal stock, and I'll hear nothing more of it.
My dream come true would be to
They're
drag
not like
the whole
us.
continent of Australia up and like butt it up against Florida. Like they would just get along so fucking well.
They would have such a grand old time. Australia and Florida. There's probably about as many people living in Florida as Australia, right?
Yeah, probably
They,
same.
they could probably be. They could be such good friends.
I bet they are.
Sunday, Michael kidnaps an ungrateful co-ed to save her life.
You've got your dashboard to keep you company.
But will her bad manners get them both killed? Knight Rider, be there.
You want to narrow it down.
Allies too.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to focus that on the smallest minority you can, but I like the joke.
That would be dwarves.
That's why I chose outer space aliens for my minority to be
pretty
to be
small.
beaten at the end.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of like a coalition of like many colors, like literally like hate criming the outer space alien. And he was a good guy the whole time. He's there to like cure cancer and stuff.
No,
it's like
he
more of a
actually
Twilight
was
Zone
stealing.
episode, right? He's what?
He actually
that's the
was
thing.
stealing.
No, or what if, or they kill the alien not because he's an alien, because he's gay. Like that's the twist at the end. Like, all right, so Neptune, huh? And he's like, yeah, me and my husband, we just landed. And they're like, what'd you say, faggot? And they just kill the alien who brought the cure for cancer. I like that bit as well.
Yeah, again, astute social
That is
commentary.
Twilight
We'll
Zone
leave that
episode,
thing.
by the way. So there's a Twilight Zone episode, and instead of all that nonsense I said, it's they think it's a Russian spy because it's during the Cold War. There's a stranger in town. Oh, someone said they saw this and that. Oh, I heard he was 10 foot tall, and all this talk gets bigger and bigger, and they're so suspicious of this guy who's a stranger in town. He's literally an outer space alien, and at the end they shoot him dead, and he's like, because he like pulled out a scroll, and it's like a space scroll. I don't know how else to describe it. Like it's
scroll.
Yeah, but like it's burning, and they like stomp it out, and they look, and it's like, the cure to all human disease is, and then it's all burn up, essentially.
Faith.
Like,
yeah.
it was like
You know that's how we'd get fucking hoodwinked. They wouldn't come with a cure. They would
Christ
come
is
with a
your Lord
new
and
religion.
Savior.
They would come
What
with
if
a
that
new
happened?
religion.
Oh, that's my favorite sci-fi. That's the sci-fi that I want written. I want the aliens to show up and ask if we've accepted Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior.
Dude, if that happens, I'm in church the next day. Like,
How fucking
I'm apologizing for everything on this show. Like, yeah,
that would be-
because Jesus is totally real. If aliens come here and say, "You guys are right with Christ," right? Like,
Why would that make Jesus more real?
Because they would confirm it. It'd be like, if they're over there, you know,
that would be so scary if they showed up and they're like, they got crucifixes on and stuff. Like they're dressed like the Pope. Like we always make fun of how the Pope's like a weird gay wizard, but they show up dressed just like him. Like all of them, they're dressed like cardinals and like all the robes and green and emerald.
Yeah, they would
and
be
ruby.
scamming us. Like, yeah, hey, here we go. Let's just dress up like these assholes. And then you guys be like, yep, well, God's real. God damn it, they're just fucking doing this on purpose.
No,
Dude,
I'd be like, Dick, do you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ? And then
That would be the thing, right?
People by doing that.
There's another episode of Star Trek that's essentially that. This alien goes to a planet and she finds out that their religion says that the devil's essentially going to come back at some point and like take over again. And so she just dresses up like the devil of their planet and shows up with a lot of technology. And she's like, all right, I own you now, or I'll destroy the world. It's up to you. And they're like giving in to her. I like that too. Yeah, the aliens could come down, spy on us, be like, they believe that a Jewish carpenter who was killed by his own people for no reason at all, like died for their sins. Let's go with that one. And they come down and they're just like, oh yeah. They completely enslave us if they did that, Taylor. You fell for it immediately.
I did fall for it. But, it's one of the legacy religions. If they said like Christianity or Islam, one of the ones that's been around for a long time, if they showed up and said Mormonism was the right one, I'd be like, no way. No way.
I'd fight to the death over converting to Mormonism. You can't trick me into being that friendly. I won't do it.
It would be a good community to be involved in. You'd be like, damn, everybody's being nice and giving me favors.
If they're bringing space polygamy back, then I'm in. But I don't want
the aliens.
Yeah, what if they're ugly? What if they're fat?
Yeah, what if they're fat?
Oh, can you imagine if like aliens arrive and they're fat and ugly?
Of course they're going to be fat.
Why? Of course they're going to be fat.
Because it's just like us, but 1,000 years from now. Can you imagine how fat we're going to be in 1,000 years?
We're going to have tech that lets us eat more.
We're going to be disgusting.
No, that's
take a pill that lines your stomach with something that stops it from absorbing food.
That would be a $1 trillion idea, where it's like, take the pill, eat whatever you want. Like, how much would you pay for said pill? This is the kind of thing that I would have bought off the back of a fucking wagon in 1872, and then the guy's off in another town.
Bulimia is free, you pussy.
But I don't think that's going to work for me, because one of my favorite parts about eating is I selfishly hoard all my food inside myself until I poop it out.
Digesting it. That's your favorite part of it.
Yeah, I like eating so much that I'm like, oh, I'm almost feeling sick. like
that full content feeling that says, good job, you got us full again. Because your body thinks that you just went out and like right hooked an antelope and ate its entire body. And it's trying to tell you, God, you did good today, Taylor. I can't believe you right hooked a fucking antelope. Just you. And you were able, you fed your family, and then you were still able to gorge yourself because it thinks you did that too.
Yeah, and you had a whole bag of Sun Chips also.
Meanwhile, it was a whole bag of Sun Chips.